Started with 500, on my way to a mil, closed over 100 deals. Can't change us. It's the game changers. It's the game changers.
You want to ask yourself every single day, am I doing everything possible to reach that goal? Don't get too far of yourself. Stay in the moment, stay grounded, and continue to push every single day. Welcome to the Game Changer Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah Bryant, and we got two special guests with us today. We got Javon and Uwe. How y'all doing today?
Feeling good, man.
Yes, sir. All the way from Dallas. So, let's bring them back. Could talk about your upbringing a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, basically, I moved to Dallas back in 2008. Came from a simple, go to college, go to school and get a job kind of family, And I found out in high school real quickly, when everybody was talking about what college they wanted to go to, I didn't really have an idea. I just knew I just wanted to do something that made a lot of money. And I noticed all the people that was making a lot of money, they either dropped out or, it really didn't go out according to plan. So, long story short, was working at a bus station, dead-end job, and then came across real estate on YouTube.
Okay.
And went up from there.
What about you?
Yeah, man. I grew up actually grew up in New Jersey before I moved to Dallas. I grew up in a small town called Sayreville, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Went to high school there. Went to throughout my formative years, and then also I actually went to community college after that, and then I actually moved to Dallas in 2020 or 2021. And I got into just while being in Dallas, I was working at Enterprise, and I was just trying to figure out like how to get money. Everywhere in Dallas, all the people I was around were all hustlers, always getting money. So I was like, I need to figure out how to get, how do I get, get some money? And I started looking into like drop shipping and whatnot, which led me to getting into real estate through a cousin of mine who was actually, he flips houses out in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. So he put me onto that and just like figuring out he pushed me into the space of wholesaling, and then I just started doing my own research from there on, and that's how I got into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Javon, you say you was working at like a bus station.
Mm-hmm.
So then at this bus station, you say you was watching YouTube videos. So like talk about that. Who was like the first person you came across?
So yeah, I was just literally on YouTube looking up side hustles. I was trying drop shipping.
Yeah.
It didn't work out. Just any little thing to make money. I was flipping iPhones and it wasn't like no income you could live off of. So ended up running across the Breakfast Club interview with Mark Whitten. I don't know if you've seen that one, but he was talking about how you can make $10,000 wholesaling and don't need a real estate license. And I'm like, it sounds a little too good to be true, but let me see what's up. So long story short, watched the video, got excited, told my friends about it, bought his course, and just started studying it. And of course, eventually was in the house space, but then as we kept networking and stuff like that, that's when I ended up finding out about land and going from there.
Did you get any house deals?
We got some under contract, but that's when we started finding out about repairs. We were locking them up too high, stuff like that, so they didn't really close or nothing like that.
Okay. So did you get any house deals in that process?
When I first got into wholesaling, I was doing a lot of researching, analysis paralysis. I was getting to houses and stuff, and it was kind of annoying. And then actually, the way I got into land was through my first meetup. Actually, I'll drop his name up. A good friend of mine, Wally Assad, he put me into land. He told me about land. You can wholesale land? I was like, I didn't know you can wholesale land. So he actually brought it to the forefront. And initially, he told me about it, and I wasn't really like paying too much attention to it. I was kind of on and off of wholesaling. A few months go by, and then I hit him up, and he's telling me he's doing all these deals in land. I told him like, yo, please, like, let's link up. I want to do a Zoom call, try to learn this, how to market for land. So eventually, he put me onto land and how to market towards it. And he actually initially put me into messy title deals. I actually didn't do traditional, you call like 1,000 people. I started going to finding inherited properties. That's how I started the game. Like, so, you do probate spot in Florida. Yeah. You don't got to do that in Texas. I mean, depending if there's a will. If there's no will, you can do what we call it. You can do affidavit heirship. That's how I was able to get around. Doing like messy title work.
So you went straight into like inheritance on land.
That's all I looked for.
Wow.
That's all. Yeah.
Is there like a specific service that you're using to get those lists?
Definitely. So what first thing my friend, Wally, he actually gave me a tax delinquent list from county, from Grayson County, let's say. And then I got REI Sift to CRM.
Okay.
And what you're able to do is, you know, you can input the data, and through that, I was able to input the data, and then you skip trace it and look for the ones that had no numbers. That was like a gem like people can use in terms of, and then that's how you know someone's dead or someone's passed away.
Okay.
So from there on, I started using different websites, you know, Ancestry, Intellius, and just stuff like that to start tracking down people. And then that's how I got into it. And that's like pretty much how I got into the messy title work.
Did you get your first deal doing it like that?
That's all I did.
Okay.
That's all I did, literally.
So let's talk about that first deal.
So again, I had my first day I closed. I was already 2 contracts in, but my first one was still, so it was a little messy, so I couldn't close it in time. But the second one, my second deal, I remember it was like June 3rd. It was great. I got in contact with the granddaughter of the owner, because I was trying to figure out where. And actually, the owner was actually, he lived in Lake Placid, Florida, I think. Yeah. And you know, I was trying to find the number. I couldn't get in contact, so I got on the website called Intellius, and it kind of gives you like a family tree situation. So I'm like, okay, let me see. This looks like it kind of gives you, the different heirs. And then I just contacted the first one I saw, and then she was like, yeah, I'm the granddaughter. That was my grandfather. And then he was like, she was like, yeah, I actually haven't heard about that property in quite a bit, like in like 20 years. Yeah. So from there on, I started, I'm like, okay, would you like to sell? In Texas, I know there was no will technically, but she was the executor on the property, so she can actually sell. She can sign off and get it off. So, so actually, I offered $9,000 for the lot, and end up, I believe we sold it for, I know it was a 26K deal.
Did you know it was worth that much? So
I didn't initially. No, I was just shooting at it, and then I actually had a mutual friend of ours, Elijah Thompson. He actually disposed my deal, and he told me like, yo, we can sell this for X amount.
So you just gave her a random offer of 9,000.
I was just talking, just lowball. Start lowballing, and then I was like, okay, So first, the first contract I offered first deal I ever did, or that I didn't go through, but I offered the guy 9,000. He said okay. Second one, she was like, okay, and then eventually she wanted to go on a Zoom call. Yeah. And it was like, I was nervous because I'm like, I've never done a deal. I'm thinking just okay, yeah, do it. So she wanted to see if I was a real person, I think. So, we talked on Zoom. She saw me and she's like, okay, I'll sign the paperwork. So I got that, she sold it away for like 9K, yeah. So
Javon, how'd you get your first deal?
So my first deal was a little different because I heard a lot of people, they kind of, their third deal, they got that big deal. But for me, it took me like almost 10 contracts to really get like my first deal. So basically what happened was I basically, I was, like I said, I was doing the houses, and I met somebody who told me about the land. He was like, hey, come to my class. I'll teach you, how to do the land and whatnot. So I go to the class, and, I'm studying, I'm serious, I'm ready to go. First week, I get my first contract. And that's when I started finding out things about like flood zones and easements and stuff after the next contract. So, 10 contracts later, whether it be flood zone easements, tax liens, or whatever that just keep making them fall through. I ended up hitting up Elijah too, and he kind of just brought me back to the basics. Elijah Thompson, and ended up telling me, hey, call this lead right here. And so basically, I had like the trashiest lot, bro. It was like a triangular shaped lot in Denison. He wanted like 3,000. I talked him down to 2,500, and then I had a buyer like 33. So I made like $800 on my first deal, but it was enough to be like, okay, this really works.
That proof of concept.
Yeah. So after that, just took that money, reinvested it, got me like a little CRM, a little dialer, and I just kept going. And went from $800 to 3K deal, then another 3K deal, then 7K deal, then another one. So it took me about 8 months after that class, but
to get some consistency going.
But I learned everything from each one of those contracts.
Yeah. So it was good that you didn't give up. You was persistent. 10 contracts. A lot of people quit after like 1 or 2. Man, this don't work.
I wanted to, but
I guess what kept you going? Where?
The people around me, they was doing it, so I was just like, if they can do it, I can do it too, you know. So I just stuck with it, and it worked out.
Yeah, I got a good network in Dallas of land flippers.
For sure.
So like, in terms of, cause I do it in Florida, right? I don't do any deals in Dallas, so you know, I guess in terms of Dallas, what's the first thing you guys are looking for?
So, for me, I was told to target certain areas around, what they call secondary markets.
Secondary market.
Yeah, secondary markets.
For the viewers, what's a secondary market?
Secondary markets are basically cities surrounding main cities like Dallas-Fort Worth, for example. That would be primary markets, and then you have like Sherman, Denison, Terrell, Kaufman County, basically areas surrounding those main markets right there.
Okay. So now you're looking at the secondary markets. Now you pick a market, right? Is there like a certain sold limit, or how many sold in the last 30 days you're looking for, or like how do you evaluate if that's a good market to choose?
So I definitely look to see where my buyers are buying, if there's a lot of new construction going on in the last 90 days, and just kind of go both ways. I even kind of reverse engineer like how you do here in Florida, and so I just trying to kind of utilize all three to basically dictate, hey, is this a good area to market into?
Okay. So now reaching out to builders, are you guys reaching out through Google, Propstream? How are you guys finding builders?
So for me, I get a little creative. So I've met builders that I've closed deals with through either Facebook groups. I've been to networking events where I've closed deals with builders, or what would be another one? Those are the main two. And then I would just kind of like build a list and just call them and be like, hey, what's your criteria? And just kind of reverse it like that.
So you said Facebook groups and meetups.
Yeah, and meetups.
Those are two free ways, y'all. Free ways that you guys could get deals just by networking. You know, letting people know what you do. You do the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my first way of actually reaching out to builders through Google. Literally Google the builder in my first county I did was Sherman, or Grayson County, but the city was called Sherman. And just Google builders in Sherman, and I got in contact with one of the builders before. And Google's your best friend, honestly. You know what I'm saying? You can find all types of builders just doing that simple way. Yeah, and also going to meetups as well. You meet all types of builders over there too.
I will say there's been a time or a couple of times where I will buy a list too, like the cash buyers I bought recently, but I've noticed the builders I work with the most were the ones I actually met face to face, or the ones where on Facebook we just kind of connected through there.
Okay. So now in terms of the seller marketing, what do you guys do for marketing? And then also, how are you guys knowing what to offer? Because, you know, Texas is a non-disclosure state, so you can't see the sold prices. So what do you guys do to, you know, strategically get over that hump?
So usually my rule of thumb is this: whatever the appraisal is, 50% of it. So let's say
how do you know the appraisal?
So I utilize the CAD, Central Appraisers District websites. So whatever county you're going through. So for example, if you're using Kaufman County, and you type in Kaufman CAD, and I'll just look for whatever lot I'm looking at. I'm prospecting. I'll see, it'll show you everything in terms of what's it valued, land market value. So I'll see, hey, if it's appraised at 40. I'll just,
offer 20.
Offer 20. Or sometimes if I'm feeling like it, I'll just say, hey, I'll give you 10,000 for it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And depending on, usually I would, the type of marketing I'm doing is it's more distressed people and it's inherited. So more likely, when you go through inherited property, they don't really care.
Yeah.
So they'll let it go for actually cheaper. So that's why sometimes you can pull off 10K offers on a 40K lot or 20K.
Definitely. So you're saying you're using, what's the website called again?
Just the Central Appraisal District. So every county has it. So I'm pretty sure
in Texas.
And if people want to go check in their own county, I think throughout states, whatever county you're using, you could just check the Central Appraisal District for whatever county it is, and then just look at if you're looking at a lot, see what it's worth, and then if you want to make an offer half of that, you're going to be in the money.
So is each lot like already appraised?
So for certain areas, they kind of vary. Like you'll have for example, in Dallas, you'll have lots appraised for like 45K, and then you have other lots appraised for like 200,000, and they're like slightly bigger. So in that case, that's where I kind of utilize my resources. I have like realtors, at hand where I can kind of look at the MLS with them and run comps, and I kind of, well, I know what I'm looking at and can be like, okay, this is what this will sell for. And then we use appraisal as like a safety net just to make sure. So,
do you guys list properties with realtors?
we haven't. We've been talking about doing that now that we notice that people getting double the profits. So that's our goal for this year.
Okay. So now, like in terms of y'all team, is it just you guys? Do you have cold callers?
So we had a VA, and she performed actually. She closed us at our first deal in Florida and stuff. But I just was having a conversation with him. I was just like, hey, like we were actually doing better by ourselves until we feel like we can really teach somebody to perform on that kind of level and still produce the same amount of results. That's when we'll slowly start hiring. So we're implementing like new systems, like REI systems, stuff like that, where we can probably potentially bring in a VA and like really be hands-on and have sequences behind them, make sure they're really doing their job and stuff. So
Okay.
I just want to make sure our next VA actually performs up to like what we were doing basically.
So in terms of your Florida deal, how did that come about?
So that one, we actually used your method to find the buyer first and go to Propstream. And so with that one, because we was already doing what we were doing in Texas, but I was like, hey man, like they going crazy in Florida, so let's try to get a VA and get some SMS going over there. So we set all that up, and honestly, there was a couple more deals we should have pulled out of there, but we were still trying to get a feel for it. Yeah. But yeah, we got that one in Palm Coast. Basically, went to the buyer. They said, hey, we're buying it around, I think I found a good one. They were buying around like 60, 63. So I was like, okay. And we had the seller, VA, shot the seller a text. They wanted an offer. I made a $50K offer, and he almost went with it. Until that's when I realized speed is the name of the game, because we came back to it 2 days later. Oh, I got a higher offer at 53. So now I'm sitting here in this bidding war, and I'm just like, dang, we losing profit. Yeah. And long story short, we ended up coming to agreement. What was it, 57.5?
Something like that.
Yeah. So we lost probably like 4,500 worth of assignments, but we still got it done and made in total about 6K. Yeah, about 6K. Okay,
that's dope. You got a deal in Florida, miles away, virtual, and you didn't have to speak to the seller, right? This is just straight text. So, in terms of like motivation, what can y'all tell somebody that's 18 years old that's like, I don't want to go to college, I don't want to work a job, but I don't know what to do? What would y'all tell them?
I know exactly what to tell them. I'll tell them. I say, hey, surround yourself with killers, because one thing about me, like when I always had like an independent mindset. So when I first got into it, I tried to do everything by myself, and I'm very big on just now like surrounding myself with people who are really doing it, and then like your goals are their norms. I feel like that's the quickest way to get to where you need to be.
Facts. What about you, bro?
I mean, yeah, just piggyback from what he's saying. That's definitely it. Just be surrounded with people who are like-minded, who are trying to achieve more. Definitely, if you're not interested in going to school, or I think real estate is really a great route. Honestly, you can really change your life doing this, and I think anyone can do this. It's really about, are you willing to put in the work? Yeah. If you're willing to put in the work, results will happen. And especially if you surround yourself, you're gonna start believing it. Especially when you're surrounding yourself with people already doing deals. Like if he can do it, I can do it
too.
Right.
Yeah.
What was your biggest deal?
So together or separate?
Oh, together, separate.
Whatever y'all want to talk about.
Yeah, my first deal was my biggest.
Okay. Oh, you came out swinging.
Yeah.
And then for me, it was at 25, but I had 2 deals closed that day, so I kind of like mark it up as like 33.5.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
So how'd you get those 2?
So that one, the 25K one, me and him had that one. We was, funny enough, we were supposed to make like 200,000 on that one. We took it over. But it was a huge learning lesson. So basically, it's a long story, but I'm gonna just sum it up. So basically, my boy Jazz calls me. I'm driving just regular day and chilling. He calls me, hey man, I got this lady in Houston who got 15 acres. And he's like, man, you was the first person I knew who to call. I'm just like, all right, let me just see what's up. Not every deal is a deal. So I'm just like, just put me on the phone, let's see. So, it's just some girl. She doesn't know anything about wholesaling. She just knows some pastor who owned 15 acres and wanted to sell it. So I just asked her the simple questions since I was driving. I was like, hey, how much are you asking? Is there utilities or a survey? And they gave me the address. I was like, okay, when I get home, I'm gonna look into it and I'll give you a call back. So I get home and they told me they was asking 5 million. I look at this property. I'm like, this property won't even sell for 3 million. Like, y'all asking really double of what it's worth. So I really just wrote it off. And then I had an idea one day. I told Ube, I was like, hey, let's start working together, get in the office so we can be more productive. Because we was working from home. And so we sat down and I'm like, okay, so like we got follows. Like what deals can we convert right now? And I told him, I was like, hey, somebody sent me 15 acres, but it's really nothing. Like, but he was the one that told me. He was like, bro, like let's look into it, like, you know. So I was like, all right, tell them that it's worth 2.5, I guess. And he called them and they accepted it. Yeah, so went from 5 million to 2.5. Yeah,
that quick.
Yeah, like he kind of explained to them why, like with the area, but I did not expect him to, accept that. So, long story short, got him down to 2.5. I ended up, I built a big enough list for me to just start sending out emails. So I just sent it out to my email list. Somebody called me 2 days later, hey, I want it. Funny enough, that buyer backed out on us the last week. So we actually lost the deal. That's when we were supposed to make like over 100K or whatnot.
So what he agreed to, like 2.6?
So was it 2.6?
Yeah.
2.6. And we had, I could have sworn it was a little over there, like 2 points. Because there was a little more meat on the bone, like, right?
I think so, yeah.
Cause I could have sworn we was going to get 100 for ourselves. Because there was some other people part of the agent and stuff like that. So, but he backed out. And then,
he didn't put earnest money.
He did. He put 25,000 earnest, bro, and he lost it. He lost it.
Oh, that's what y'all.
So it gets crazy because basically, of course he wanted his earnest money back. So he was like, hey man, I can find a buyer. Like, get me back in the deal. So I'm like, I don't know if the seller's gonna let me. So I called the girl that needed our help, and I was like, hey, like, can we get this going again? And she was like, he doesn't really trust y'all. But I was like, look, like, just give us like 45 days. And she was like, all right, let me talk to him. So she talks to him. She's like, all right, like, y'all can find somebody who can close in 45 days. We'll give it to you. So I told that same buyer, look, you want to get your 25,000 back? You got to deliver, man. So it's funny enough, it was still a little shaky. He has a little worried at the end, but
he got it done.
He got it done. He brought in a realtor, a real estate agent who, funny enough, we thought he was gonna make the same amount as we did, but he added a fee on top without us knowing. So this real estate agent made like $150,000. We made 25. The girl that we helped made 25, and that buyer got his 25 back. So
everybody ate.
Everybody ate.
Yo, it's crazy because I interviewed Will, right? He was talking about that 700K deal. Another buyer made 6 figures, and then the last buyer made 6 figures. It's like, what's going on in Texas? Like, I need to get over there, but that's dope. That's dope. That y'all actually got it done. Everybody won in that situation.
Thanks.
So, any last words for the viewers?
Got anything?
I don't really have much to say.
All right. So in terms of like houses versus land, what's the differences y'all see, and which one would y'all pick?
Definitely land, because I've been doing it full time for over 2 years now, and I've only seen 2 plots of land. So I'm just saying you can do most of it virtually. With houses, you got to calculate the repairs, and there's a lot more attachment to it. It's probably somebody's mom's house. So I would definitely, if you want to get into what we're doing, start with land and get a feel for it first.
Definitely. To kind of pick up, I would definitely do land. Honestly, it's much easier to deal with. I think owners have less attachment to it, and obviously, when you're doing houses, there's a lot more sentiment to the house, and there's calculations and whatnot. So it gets a little more trickier. Land is pretty straightforward, and I think anyone can jump into this, and I think it's pretty dope.
And what's dope about y'all? It's not even like y'all have like a super big team. You don't have 1,000 employees, but you're still making great money doing this. Just like y'all two in the VA, So that lets you know it's not like you have to scale to a huge team to make great money doing this. You could just, you and your boy, just text, cold call, direct mail. And something will happen if you stay consistent, all right?
Literally.
Where can they follow y'all at?
So y'all can follow me at LandmanJ. If y'all have any questions in terms of like evaluations on land or need help selling a deal, please hit me up, because my goal is to always deliver.
And you can hit me on Instagram at UbeCE. I'm pretty sure you're gonna put our ads on that. And any questions you guys, especially if it's Messy title work, contact me, especially in Texas. I would love to help.
Yeah. And if y'all want the plan on how to flip land, y'all know where to come. Game changers.